Hello, Mike Kako, and good afternoon. Mahalo for joining today's AEN-PSM-EDT hearing. It's February 10th, 2025, and we're here in room 224 and video conferencing, which includes the audio and video of remote participants that's being streamed live on YouTube. In the unlikely event that the hearing is cut short, we will reconvene to discuss any outstanding business on Wednesday, February 12th, here in room 224 at 1 p.m. And because of our 90-minute time limit for hearings, there will be a 1-minute time limit for all testifiers, and we'll have a virtual countdown timer on the Zoom screen. So first up, actually, just one item on the agenda, SB 547 relating to water conservation. Incentivizes the installation and use of gray water recycling systems and atmospheric water generators in the state by establishing an income tax credit to be administered by no tax. It requires DBED to establish a rebate program and requires the State Building Code Council to adopt certain standards on gray water recycling systems and atmospheric water generators in the state. First up is Department of Health. Anyone from the Department of Health?
Yes.
Oh, here we are.
Thank you, chairs, vice chairs, members of the committee. John Nagato on behalf of the department. The department stands on its written testimony to provide comments. Here to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Gary Suganuma from Department of Taxation.
Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee, Clinton Piper, Department of Taxation. We've submitted written comments. I would note we have 7 proposed amendments to the credit portion of the bill. We believe each of these amendments preserves the intent of the bill but aids in its administration. I will be available for questions if you have any concerns on any of the particular amendments requested. Thank you.
Thank you, Clinton. Tom Yamachika on Zoom from the Tax Foundation of Hawaii.
Good afternoon, the chairs and members of the committee. This is Jade McMillan on behalf of Tom Yamachika for the Tax Foundation of Hawaii. We've submitted some comments on the measure. Our comments, in summary, conclude that we believe only the rebate program should move forward and would provide a clearer and more transparent total cost of providing the incentive. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Cynthia Villoria. Cynthia here in person. She's in support. Joshua Walter on Zoom. Joshua, are you there?
Yes, hello, I'm here.
Aloha.
Aloha. Thank you for taking the time and consideration of this bill. It has been very important to me personally. I've been working in this space for over a decade now and have contributed much to this technology. And the vision that I have, I hope that Hawaii will see and adopt in its own interests. But I believe that it is to be done without taking risk to public health and safety, of course, but to be able to set Hawaii as the leader in this sustainability in this space, like it has in solar and energy. I believe this to be an amazing opportunity. And going forward, this is just the beginning of many other technologies that can be included in climate resiliency, including AI and blockchain. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Joshua. Anyone else wishing to testify on this measure, please come forward.
Good morning, Chair, Committee. My name is Anton Smith. I'm the President and CEO of Hawai'i Water Solutions. This actually sells this technology here in the state of Hawaii. We are a local company, Hawai'i Water. Good morning. And so I just wanted to say that we've utilized atmospheric water generators in support of the fires in Maui. We installed a unit at the Pukalani Church of the Nazarene. We've donated that system there, produces 100 gallons of water a day, supports over 200 families in that local region there. We've also donated a machine to Lahaina, producing 120 gallons of water a day as well. And just wanted to say that this technology is game-changing, and in effect that the Hawaii Emergency Management has also purchased machines from us as well, producing 200 gallons of water a day on an emergency basis. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Anton. Anyone else? Please.
Good afternoon, Gwen Yamamoto Lau, representing DBED. So DBED apologizes, we didn't submit testimony for this bill, but we think water conservation is very important, but we just need a little bit more time to study the bill.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes.
Good morning, Chair. Chicky Ferrer, homeowner. I just wanted to share with all the committee members that I'm a homeowner and I have one of these machines. And it has been the best thing for my neighborhood. We contribute the water to all of our neighbors, my coworkers, and they feel safe by having a machine such as this because of the benefits and the health benefits and the safety, and because of what's happening in our environment today. And the Red Hill issue is a big concern for them. And a lot of my neighbors are senior citizens, and they would support a bill like this, if you will, also. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? We had, oh, sorry, please come forward.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Chris Daniel. I have 15 years experience in water purification. I have manufactured and sold equipment around the world for industrial and residential use. I support this bill. I've used the Hawai'i water machines. I've looked through them. It is powerful stuff. They work very well. And, I always hear things about water scarcity in Hawaii, droughts, and I think this kind of technology will go a long way in alleviating this problem. I think that if more schools, homes, businesses could have this technology, that will go a long way in improving everything in Hawaii. So I hope that everybody here can support Hawai'i Water in their mission and help Hawai'i Water help Hawaii. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chris. Next.
Good afternoon. My name is Angelique Kekueva. I'm the Director of Gray Water Recycling with Hawai'i Water Solutions. And I just wanted to thank you guys, Chair and members in the committee. I'm expressing my strong support for SB 547, which proposes tax incentives for implementing gray water recycling systems and air-to-water generators in Hawaii. These technologies are crucial to addressing our ongoing water scarcity and environmental challenges facing our state. By incentivizing gray water recycling, Hawaii can significantly reduce its dependency on fresh water, lowering the strain on our limited water resources already. Gray water systems offer an eco-friendly alternative for irrigation and non-potable uses, making them a sustainable solution for residential and commercial applications. Furthermore, air-to-water generators provide an innovative method for producing potable water from the air, a technology that could greatly benefit communities in remote or drought-prone areas. By supporting the use of these systems through tax incentives, we can make clean, accessible water a reality for more residents and businesses across the islands. In conclusion, I urge the committee to support SB 547 and its proposed tax incentives, as they will play a vital role in ensuring the long-term sustainability of Hawaii's water resources. Thank you so much for the consideration.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Please come forward.
Good afternoon. Aloha, my name is Marla Ferrer. I support this bill. We have a machine in our home. It is essential, especially in this sense that we are in a drought situation. We've been that way for quite some time. And also in the event of hurricanes or natural disasters, and we can't get fresh water from the tap, we have this machine as a backup. It's an alternative, but it's clean, it's safe. There's no chlorine in it. I mean, there's all kinds of things that benefit, and it's good for the kids to have fresh, clean water. And the schools, we're looking at trying to help everybody get better. We've done that with our photovoltaic as far as the tax incentive, and that would just give people more of an incentive to help be sustainable themselves. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Members, any questions? Okay.
Chair, question?
Yes.
On bill tax, please. Thank you. Since the rebates are substantial, what do you estimate the revenue impact of this tax credit?
Because we've not had a similar bill in past sessions, we don't yet have a revenue estimate. I believe this, I can't speak certainly, but I believe this is a bill that we are doing a revenue estimate on. It's just not available at this time. So I can inquire and get back to you.
I think that's gonna be really important because it also has a tax credit and a rebate.
I understand. I can inquire and get back to you. Unfortunately, I don't have those numbers with me.
Okay, yeah, that'd be good if you could get back. I'm just trying to figure out what is the impact financially.
Understood.
Thank you.
Follow-up question.
Yes.
Is it normal that we give a tax credit and a rebate at the same time?
I've only been with DOTAX 2 years. I've not seen it. So I can't comment on whether it's typical or not. I just don't have that information.
How long did you guys know about this bill?
Personally, I became aware of the bill within a day or two of it being filed. I don't know whether or not someone
Filed meaning introduced or filed meaning put on the agenda?
filed, meaning introduced.
Okay, and since that time till now, folks really didn't look at this?
It has been looked at, but unfortunately, like I said, we don't have the revenue estimate
Right, I'm
complete
not
yet.
asking about the revenue estimate,
Yes.
I'm asking about whether or not you do tax credits and rebates as a normal practice.
I did not look at it for that explicit question.
Okay, you know that we need this kind of information before we can make decisions, right?
I understand.
Chair, can I get DBED, please? Hi, Gwen. Gwen, when were you aware of this bill?
About 10 minutes ago.
Okay.
Sorry.
Do you have any current programs to encourage the use of gray water recycling and atmospheric water generators?
We currently do not.
So you would not know the estimate of cost to set up the program if this bill passes?
We can try and look into it and get back to you, but not off the top.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Anyone else?
Question for Mr. Smith. Chair, question for Mr. Smith. Hi, Mr. Smith. Do you know if other states offer this type of rebate or program where you have maybe devices in other states across the continent?
Yes, sir. In the state of Florida, they have tax incentives for this type of technology. They also give incentives for homeowners and construction companies to use the gray water recycling systems in their building. They actually give them head of the line for their permits and also an extra 10 to 15% in building space as well if utilizing this technology. The gray water systems themselves gives 15 LEED credits for that building. So yes, and also atmospheric water generators, not only in Florida, but also in Arizona as well. There's 2 bills that are on the books currently.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, we'll take a brief recess for decision-making. Okay, thank you very much. Reconvening the 1 o'clock agenda, joint agenda on SB 547. The chairs having conferred. We need to get some more information, as was said in the Q&A part. And so we're going to, AEN's going to roll decision-making until Wednesday. That's the 12th of February at 1 p.m. here in room 224. And
Okay, for the Committee on Public Safety and Military Affairs, we'll defer decision-making to Wednesday, February 12th, 2025 at 3:01 p.m. in Conference Room 225.
For Committee on Economic Development, Tourism, we'll defer decision-making to Wednesday, 1 p.m. in this room 224.
thank you very much. And that
I take it
adjourns the
back,
1
yeah.
o'clock agenda.
Thank you.
Okay, coming back for the, moving on to our 101 agenda, we have two decision-making measures that we'll be discussing. First is SB 242, relating to foreign ownership of ag lands, prohibits foreign entities from owning, leasing, or holding a controlling interest in more than an unspecified number of acres of ag land, limits the lease term for ag land by foreign entities, and requires foreign entities that own or lease interest in ag lands file an annual report with the Department of Agriculture. Okay, so on this one, so the chair's recommendation will be to pass with an amendment from the AG's office to delete reference to the Department of the Attorney General from Section 4C because they're not a party to agricultural land transactions, and will also be defecting the date to July 1st, 2050. So I'd like to point out that the data shows us that there are currently 24 states that have various restrictions regarding foreign ownership of ag lands. And so SB 242 fits into this category that would limit foreign ownership based on size and lease time, which currently includes states such as Arizona, Iowa, Missouri, Nebraska, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, South Dakota, and Wisconsin. And we will also note the concerns of the Hawaii Farm Bureau and others that this, as this measure moves forward, we'll work on adding language to limit any unintended harm to our farmers. Okay, so any discussion, members?
Sure.
Yes.
Real quick, just to comment on that. Though I think I understand the intent of getting this done, very sensitive what Farm Bureau has said and the investment for our agriculture overall statewide. That being said, I appreciate what Chair's, the comments being made about protecting against any unintended consequences. So for that reason, I'm going to go with reservations on this because I think the intention is right, but the unintended consequences could potentially be very damaging. So we do need to work on it, and I appreciate that. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. Anyone else? Senator Owa?
Thank you. When we first got elected, we aimed to stop all outsiders from buying property in Hawaii, with the exception of locals who had to move away. Some people looked at us like we were crazy. The state told us that was unconstitutional, so we dialed back our bills to bans on foreign only. And the state attorney general then told us that's illegal too. So we watered down our bills even more to what's in front of us today, as you heard from Senator Gabbard, a bill to stop foreigners from buying agricultural lands, very similar to what 24 other states and their lawmakers have found to be legal, constitutional. Yet our attorney general still says what we're trying to do in part is unconstitutional. Happy to hear the amendments. We need this as a first step to get to where we want to go. Senator Gabbard, on behalf of the minority, thank you for not listening to them and working with them, and for standing up for our people when it comes to this issue. And to the people watching, this bill has a long way to go yet. If it passes our Ag Committee, with the vote here in the coming moments, it will then be up for vote in front of Senator Lee and his Transportation Committee tomorrow. We hope there are enough votes in front of that committee with those senators to move this forward tomorrow, so we can get some power back to the locals when it comes to that market, especially with our agricultural lands. Thank you.
And I'll add that if it gets past TSA, then it goes to Judiciary and WHAM, a joint hearing of those two committees as well. So there's a ways to go here, so, okay, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Senator.
Chair.
Yes, Senator Coit.
Chair, likewise, I think, there is a lot of issues with everything in general, with the world in general. We all want to prevent outsiders from buying our lands and retain those lands as locals, as we've always done. But at the same time, we've also depended upon others so that we can also move forward, especially in the best interest of agriculture. And I think that farming has been a huge challenge, which is why I've always supported that if we grow local, we build local, we become local. So again, as an Attorney General's ruling on this, not everybody's correct about what an Attorney General says. So I just like to say, I still get concerns because even while the other 24 states have done that, there's only been one that has actually challenged it. And nothing is unconstitutional until it's challenged. So that's a good move in the right direction. Things need to be challenged so that we can make sure that the truth does come out. But again, I would like to preserve all those lands for us here in local. So with that, I still have concerns, but I will be voting with reservations. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so with that said, the chair's will be voting aye. Vice Chair.
Pass on Senate Bill 242, passing with amendments. Chair votes aye, Vice Chair votes with reservations. Senator DeCoit?
With reservations.
Reservations. Senator Rhodes? Aye. Senator Awa?
Aye.
Chair, you have 5 in favor. Motion is adopted.
Thank you, members. And then moving on to the other measure, SB 1633 relating to hemp. On this measure, establishes a green building tax credit for costs related to the construction of a primary structure made with at least 30% Hawaii-grown hemp material, as well as other parts of the bill. We need more time on this one, so the chair's recommendation will be to, we're close but not done. Thank you to Senator Richards, who's been very instrumental in working on this bill. So we'll be deferring decision-making on this one till Wednesday, February 12th, here in room 224 at 1:01 p.m. And that concludes the 101 agenda. All right, welcome back to the 101 agenda for some bills that we're going to be hearing. We'll start off with SB 683 relating to environmental protection beginning January 1st, 2028, prohibits the manufacture, sale, offer for sale, distribution for sale, and distribution for use of any food packaging, food serviceware, cosmetic, or personal care product that contains the intentionally added PFAS substances with certain exceptions. And first up to testify is the Environmental Health Administration from DOH.
Good afternoon, Chair Gabbard, Vice Chair Richards, members of the committee. My name is Michael Burke. I'm with the Hawaii State Department of Health, Food and Drug Branch. DOH department submitted written testimony offering comments. We stand on our written testimony, and I'm available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Next is Ted Boland from the Hawaii Reef and Ocean Coalition.
Thank you, Chair Gabbard, Vice Chair Richards, and members of the committee. Ted Boland for the Hawaii Reef and Ocean Coalition. We're here strongly supporting the bill because PFAS is really toxic at really low levels, and it needs to be taken care of. We need to stop bringing it into the state. So although this it covers a lot of measures, a lot of packaging, et cetera, it's really necessary to get this stuff out. I would say, and it would be good if the committee looked at some enforcement measures to make this work. High Rock is proposing an amendment to the definition of PFAS, which is very important. The definition that's currently in statute is kind of vague and needs to be brushed up. I've given the committee in my written comments the language that I would like to use on page 4, line 13 for a revised definition of PFAS. Please adopt that. Thank you for the opportunity to testify.
Thank you, Ted. Next is Melody Aduha from the Environmental Caucus for the Democratic Party by Zoom. Are you there, Melody? There you are.
Hello, aloha.
Aloha.
Afternoon. Okay, I just want to say that, of course, PFAS is bad because of how it is in our fast food packaging, microwave popcorn bags, cosmetics, etc. Recent years, McDonald's, Burger King, and Chick-fil-A, they have been moving away from PFAS in their packaging, as well as Pizza Hut and Domino's. But there has been a study by the University of Notre Dame that shows that over half of the 231 makeup products tested has PFAS. But I think my testimony is basically, it probably follows what Ted Boland is saying. We need to eliminate the language of intentionally added, because it ensures that it becomes a loophole, therefore, upon throughout the supply chain. So that needs to be eliminated. Intentionally added PFAS, because it could be added before, and then they'll say that the next ones, they are not liable, therefore. So please go ahead and amend, and thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you, Melody.
Thank you.
Next is Tina Yamaki from Retail Merchants of Hawaii online, Zoom.
She's not available online.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to testify on SB 683? Members, any questions? Okay, moving on to next measure, SB 1109, relating to environmental review process, repeals the definition of finding of no significant impact and defines, quote, finding of completion of environmental disclosure process, unquote, and also making conforming amendments. First up is Mary Alice Evans from the Office of Planning and Sustainable Development.
Aloha, Chair, members. I'm Tom Eisen with OPSD's Environmental Review Program. We stand in our submitted testimony and are available to answer questions about our concerns with this bill.
Okay, thank you. Next is Michael Kane from DLNR. In support. Anyone else wishing to testify on this measure? Members, any questions?
Yeah, I have one, Chair.
Senator Richards?
Yeah, Office of Planning. Didn't want you to come all this way and not get to talk. Some of the testimony talks about I don't want to say perceived difference, but a difference of the finding no significant impact versus completion of environmental disclosure process. Can you comment on that as far as how this might trickle through interpretation?
One of the differences that we see, well, the FONSI, the current finding of no significant impact, keeps the focus on significant impact. And this notion of significance is a big part of distinguishing in the process whether you go through the EA process or the EIS process. There's criteria for significance. Significance is kind of a big thing, significant. So removing that just from the title takes the focus away. But one of the other things that's embedded in the new proposed language is that a final EA would get this new finding of completion based on a technical definition of completion, not significant. So they could be determined that a final EA is complete, even though it finds a significant impact. But because this new definition says it could not go to the EIS track, it would be completely done, even though there was significant impact. That's kind of nuanced and hard to find, but
the words matter.
the words matter.
Yeah, and so that's what we're trying to struggle with here. I mean,
If it's just to get the appearance that the process is over, a FONSI, the process is over now, it doesn't say that in as many words. This new thing says it in as many words, but it loses the reference to significance and all the nuances of that, including an agency's apparent right to require an EIS after a final EA if the final EA shows a significant impact, which was not what was anticipated, but it was uncovered along the way.
okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Next, we have SB 391, expanding the Electronic Device Recycling and Recovery Act to include the collection and recycling of certain lithium-ion batteries, requires manufacturers of lithium-ion batteries to recycle or arrange for the recycling of said batteries sold in the state, and ensures the safe collection, storage, transportation, and recycling of batteries. First up is Mark Glick from the Hawaii State Energy Office.
We will stand on our written testimony and comments.
Okay, thank you. Department of Health on Zoom.
Yes, good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the committee. Lane Otsu for Department of Health, and we stand on our written testimony providing comments on the measure.
Thank you. Leah Laramie from the Climate Commission. In support, Tina Yamaki from Retail Merchants of Hawaii on Zoom.
She's not available on Zoom, Chair.
Okay. Anyone else wishing to testify on this measure? Members, any questions?
Question, Chair.
Senator Ducoit.
Department of Health. Department of Health.
Yes, I'm here.
How big of a problem is the disposal of lithium batteries?
We don't have any data on it, but we do know that the counties who are responsible for waste management, do have issues with it because of the flammability of the batteries. I know just personally seeing, news stories on fires starting in the pickup trucks. I mean, the ones that pick up the gray bins, because they have batteries in them that probably had been compromised in one way or another. So it's a big issue.
So what is the estimated volume of these batteries?
We don't have any data on that.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Okay, moving on. SB 12 classifies neonic pesticides as restricted use pesticides and establishes a list of chemicals that should belong to the neonic class of chemicals. Prohibits the sale or use of seeds coated or treated with neonic pesticides. Requires the Department of Ag to adopt rules that identify and regulate the most harmful neonic pesticide formulations and develop guidelines for safer alternatives. First up is Department of Ag.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Greg Takishima, Pesticides Program Manager, here representing the Department of Agriculture. The department stands on its written testimony with comments. Available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. Timothy Lyons from the Hawaii Pest Control Association.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. We only have one very brief comment in requesting an amendment on page 3, which basically says residences, and it should be changed to structures because the industrial pest control operators treat structures.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Ann Frederick for Hawaii Alliance for Progressive Action on Zoom. Hello, Ann.
Aloha, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Annie Frederick on behalf of HAPA and strong support. Given that neonics are considered to be the most widely used class of insecticides, we believe it would be helpful to get an extent of the use in Hawaii, which would become possible by reclassifying them as restricted use pesticide. Our testimony also includes some proposed amendments to provide exemption for treatment of invasive species and pet treatments. We did want to note also that several states have enacted a ban on outdoor ornamental and residential use, and we think that would be wise for Hawaii as well. There's an increasingly large body of research on both the environmental and health impacts of neonic exposure. Some of the key findings from recent studies include impacts to water quality. They persist in the water and move up the food chain that way, impact aquatic species, impacts to human health, largely developmental and neurological, and impacts on pollinators as well. So thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Ann. Next is Jay Ashman from Hawaii Farm Bureau on Zoom.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Chair Gabbard, Vice Chair Richards, and members of the committee. I'm Janet Ashman, and I'm testifying on behalf of the Hawaii Farm Bureau. The Hawaii Farm Bureau opposes this bill because neonicotinoids are very important for farmers. There are few alternatives. In many cases, fruit and vegetable crops rely on these. They're expensive, they're not used willy-nilly, and they can be used safely. Many studies have been done to show that they can be used safely with no harm to bees. And you know, a lot of this is attributable to parasites and pests, especially varroa mites, pathogens, poor nutrition, narrow genetic base. So there are a lot of factors that go into bee deaths, but we hope that you'll take our suggestions. You have our written testimony, and I'm available for questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Clayton Kubo and on Zoom.
Clayton Kubo, Waimea, Kauai.
Yes, I understand there's a place for everything in the world, but when that thing was coming in my house, when that thing was coming in my truck just last week, Wednesday, that's not no place. Neonicotinoids causes a whole lot of not good stuff to kids. When are this, they say that they are using, which the label is the law. But you know what? When the thing coming in my house, when the thing coming in my truck, just by me minding my own business, that's not good. A few years ago, you guys had passed legislation for increased fines of repeat offenders of pesticide violations. Had over 600 violators.
Sorry, I think he left the Zoom meeting.
All right, thank you. Next is Kensho Gurung on Zoom.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm testifying in strong support of this bill. Hawaii is known as the
Could you
extinction.
state your name, please?
Sorry, my name is Kensho Gurung, and I'm testifying as an individual. Hawaii is known as the extinction capital of the world. We've lost 71 out of 113 of our native bird species. This is due in part to pesticide use. The EPA states that neonics, the specific type of pesticide this bill is trying to classify as restricted use, likely harms all 38 threatened and endangered species in the US. Yet currently you can buy these products over the counter in Hawaii at most hardware stores. Neonics are also embedded in colorful coated seeds, something that I, as a former elementary garden school teacher, know that are often given to students who find them exciting without being aware of the effects to pollinators and human health. Here are some of the effects to human health: muscle tremors, memory loss, birth defects, including heart and brain deformations, and seizures. Please protect our keiki and pollinators. Mahalo.
Thank you very much. Okay, anyone else wishing to testify on SB 12? We had 100 in support, 9 opposed, and 8 with comments. Members, are there any questions?
I got a question. DOA. Great. I agree. Thank you. To what extent are neonics being used today, and how have they shown to be a problem here in the islands?
Sure. So the department does not keep track of the amount of neonics unless they are actually restricted use pesticides. The requirements for reporting and sales of neonicotinoid pesticides are they are based on the classification of the pesticide itself, right? So a general use versus a restricted use. In terms of whether there's an effect, the department, we stated in our testimony that the department has seen some complaints about potential drift episodes. From my recollection, there were about 2 or 3 within the past 2 years that were specific to neonicotinoid use. That was because it was a misapplication of a product rather than drift. There was a wrong rate that was used. So, it didn't get where it wasn't supposed to. They overused a certain amount.
That was what, RUP or?
That was a general use pesticide.
So as of today, no RUP that you have data on, you have no recollection?
No. Well, okay, that's incorrect. I believe there's 3 or 4 restricted use neonics that are federally restricted, right? So we have the state authority to restrict the product, and we also have federal restrictions for products. So those federally restricted products, we do keep track of. Usually lawn and ornamental products, golf course products, those are restricted.
So of those, any misuse or?
No, not of the restricted products because they are so tightly controlled and regulated.
So then what is being affected at that level then?
So
if this bill is here,
okay,
and you don't have anything on books of neonics?
The products have a really large range, right? We use them in ornamental use. We use them in agricultural crop production. We use neonics in structural pest control. There are also seed coatings, as some of the testimony has brought up. There are multiple uses for the neonics, which are right now all, well, as long as they're not restricted, they are all allowed. If it's a general use pesticide, you can use it.
Because this bill points to RUP.
Yes. Yeah. So the restriction and there's the requirement to report RUP use, right? So I do know in the bill it does pull out some of the structural use of neonicotinoids. There are some concerns based on mixed use. So every product has a different label, right? And that label has different uses. I believe while I was doing some research, there was a mixed use of ornamental, ag production, and structural pest control use. So that's where it's going to get really confusing to the distributor, to the user, right? Should I be reporting on the use if it's ornamental? And you can purchase the product through general use if it's, if you say, hey, I'm only going to use it for indoor and structural, right? So that's where it's going to get really convoluted really quickly.
So what, ban them all or what? Like,
I would hesitate to ban them all. They are extremely useful in terms of pest control. That is one of the imidacloprid products, that is the injectable, is one of the most effective products for control of coconut rhinoceros beetle. That's the injection product, right? The residuals for those are about 6 to 12 months. It's not really expensive to do that type of injection. So, they do have their place, and the use is extremely important statewide, right? I gave you folks the numbers of the neonics, so.
so I guess what I'm trying to say is I don't like to punish those that are not needing the punishment, and I would rather focus on, if that's the target, then let's take care of, those that are being the bad apples. But, if you're telling me that it hasn't been on the RUP, then why would we force it?
Yeah, I guess some of the issues are that because it's not restricted, we don't have the data on the use, right? And that's really what this is pushing for is.
So I think from like maybe 10, 15 years ago, in fact, when I first got in, I asked for that data. And I don't know why till today, we don't have a breakdown of all that data, because the bulk of it has always been, or the majority of it became homeowner use, which is what drift, because this body felt that they didn't need to be educated on how to use pesticides in the right way. So I just amazed. It's like me punishing my kid that never do nothing wrong and letting the other one get away with murder. So that's kind of why I look at this, but thank you.
Understand.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Yes, Senator Richards?
Greg, what we haven't touched on is use in animals for controlling the problems we see in animals, both livestock as well as pet. Do you deal with any of that? Because there was some testimony about it, opposing it. But from your perspective, do you have any comments on that?
So some of the neonics are specific to animals, right? Like some of the flea medicines, the collars around your dogs and cats, those are actually regulated under FIFRA in the pesticides branch. We haven't seen any misuse really, because there's no drift possibility on a collar, right? So for those products, there's not the concern, that the reporting requirements for restricted products would have.
Okay. And then as far as the use, I know if we have targeted use, the comments have been made, it affects some of the beneficial insects. I know we've had previous testimony and some other stuff where we can target the use of pesticides, including neonicotinoids, that essentially have minimal impact on bees or even ladybugs, things like that. Is that a true statement?
Yes, so all of the information and the research that I did over a while, really all of the labels that have agricultural use have the pollinator protection requirements, and they're not suggestions, they are requirements governed by federal law that require pollinator protection. You know, you have to apply this product in the early mornings or, you know, when pollinators are not around to ensure that the pollinators don't get affected by these products. So there are protections for use for the pollinators.
Okay, and then final question for Greg. Comment was made about accumulating in water. I've never seen that before. Do you have any comments on that?
So the department actually did a surface water study about, I want to say 4 years ago, that did a number of streams, surface water quality monitoring. We can bring that to you folks so that you folks can take a look at the results of that study.
Yeah, please deliver it to the
Sure.
chair so we can communicate. Thanks, Chair. I'm done with Greg. I have one more question for someone else.
Okay, thank you.
Farm Bureau? Is that okay, Chair?
Yeah.
Farm Bureau?
Yes, sir. This is Janet.
Oh,
Ashman.
sorry, Janet. Yeah, I have Brian here.
Oh, fine.
Good, Brian.
Brian Miyamoto, Hawaii Farm Bureau, and we have Janet Ashman from the Hawaii Farm Bureau online also.
Yeah, and maybe I'm asking you both at the same time, but can you comment on the use from agricultural standpoint for targeted use of the neonicotinoids?
Janet, you want to go ahead? I have some comments.
Sure. Yes, thank you. Yeah, it's very important, and I think I tried to explain it in the written testimony, where some of the fruit and vegetable crops, especially, there may not be any alternative, and if there is, it's usually not as effective. You need to use more of it. It's older, it's less targeted, and it would require more frequent applications and heavier applications. So it would really hurt our homegrown crops that we're trying to grow in Hawaii, so we don't have to rely on other states or other countries who do use neonicotinoids.
Okay.
Senator, if may I add also, I think invasive species are brought up. We use neonics for coconut rhinoceros beetle. I think that was brought up. Something to think about is the buffer zone law, Act 45, creates a buffer zone from schools, 100 feet. If this is an RUP, we no longer can use that imidacloprid for coconut rhinoceros beetle. There are bills that would increase that buffer zone and actually create the buffer zones around other county and state parks. So again, this is a product that we use with the state law that's in place that creates those buffer zones that restricts RUP. We may no longer be able to use this product that we have been using, that we are using for invasive species, specific coconut rhinoceros beetle. So again, those impacts not just to farming, but to environment also, and invasive species control could be jeopardized if we do RUPs.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Next is SB 216, relating to farm dwellings, prohibits the construction of new farm dwellings on ag park lots beginning January 1st, 2026, prohibits residents within an unpermitted farm dwelling. First up is Department of Ag. Thank you very much. Brian Miyamoto, Hawaii Farm Bureau.
Thank you, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Brian Miyamoto here on behalf of the Hawaii Farm Bureau. You have our testimony. We said it's providing comments since there are basically two parts to this bill. First of all, we support farmers and ranchers' ability to live on their farms. We articulate in our bill why we believe it's necessary. One of the big bills or several bills will be here in this hearing is about ag crimes. So farmers and ranchers living on their land can help prevent or mitigate some of the ag crimes that we see. So part one, again, we support the intent. We want to make sure that it's approved legal dwellings And so the approval that the Board of Ag has. The second part, we respectfully oppose any prohibition of new construction of farm dwellings. And we understand that this measure is addressing State Ag Park Lands, Chapter 166. So we believe that the Department of Agriculture, Board of Agriculture have enough oversight to make sure that those that have those dwellings are legitimate and they are farming, but we do want to ensure that they're farming. So we do understand the intent of this measure. Thank you for the opportunity to provide testimony.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to testify on SB 216? Members, any questions? Moving on to SB 658, relating to Hawaii Ant Lab, appropriates funds to the Department of Ag to support the Hawaii Ant Lab in mitigating the effects of little fire ants in the state. Let's see. First up is DLNR. Thank you, Rob. Department of Ag.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the Committee, Dr. Health Platform, Branch Capital Department, we stand out in testimony and support.
Thank you. Chelsea Arnott from HISC. By Zoom.
Well, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee, apologies for not being there in person, and my camera seems not to be working, but Chelsea Arnott on behalf of the Hawaii Invasive Species Council, stand in support on our written testimony. Mahalo.
Thank you, Chelsea. Hawaii Farm Bureau.
Thank you, Chair. The Hawaii Farm Bureau will stand on its written testimony in support.
Thank you, Brian. And anyone else wishing to testify on this measure?
Aloha, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Christy Martin, Coordinating Group on Alien Pest Species. I'm so sorry. I'm pretty sure I was submitting testimony yesterday and not actually surfing. CGAPS is in strong support of this measure. Hawaii Ant Lab actually started as a cooperative project between the Hawaii Department of Agriculture and the University of Hawaii to provide the expertise, the research, and the tool development because little fire ants live in trees, and we didn't have any known or registered pesticide to be able to treat them. How far they've taken us. They also actually don't only work on little fire ant. They work on all species of ants. They survey around the ports, in the ports, to see if we've got red-ported fire ants. It's the next worst invader that we can possibly get. And I sure hope we can rely on them and that they'll be around to develop those treatment technologies and to help in that fight. It's going to be an all-hands-on-deck thing when they show up, and that's red-imported fire ants. So mahalo for the opportunity. I will just hand this, if that's all right.
Yes, thank you very much. Mahalo. Anyone else wishing to testify on this measure?
Yes, thank you, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Michelle Montgomery, Manager of Hawaii Ant Lab. I stand on our testimony, our written testimony, and am available for questions.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Any questions, members?
I have one.
Senator Richards?
Since you were submitting, maybe Ant Lab as well, same question. For control, are you using neonicotinoid insecticides?
No.
What do you use?
We use non-restricted use pesticides that are also non-systemic. And so there's a variety of active ingredients that we do use. They are all in bait formulations, and so it's not a broadcast spray where we would be affecting pollinators. They're very limited and very low non-target effects. Long-term, very, very safe.
Can you get us a list of that, please? Mr.
Absolutely.
Chair? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next is SB 1468, relating to general excise tax exemptions, repeals the GET tax exemption for amounts received by independent sugarcane farmers. Repeals the GET for amounts received by a contractor of the patient-centered community care program established by the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. And first up is Gary Suganuma from DOTAX.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, and committee members. Gary Suganuma, Director of Taxation. The department supports this administration measure, which proposes to repeal 2 general excise tax exemptions that are rarely used. So the information about the usage of the GT exemptions are in our testimony. I'm here to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Tom Yamachika for Tax Foundation of Hawaii on Zoom.
Yes, good morning, or excuse me, good afternoon, chairs, members of the committee. This is Jane McMillan on behalf of Tom Yamachika for the Tax Foundation of Hawaii. We've submitted our comments on the measure. We do not doubt that these are rarely used GET exemptions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else wishing to testify on this measure, 1468? Members, any questions?
Question for DOTAX.
Senator DeCoy?
DOTAX. Sorry, Gary. So Gary, how you guys monitor the tax exemption and what guidelines do you follow when you recommend repeal?
We have data for the amount of claims for the exemption for each year. So as stated, so I'm assuming you're more interested in the sugarcane one.
Yeah.
So for that one, when we look back at our data, no one claimed exemption for tax year 2020 and 2021. And then in 2022 and 2023, so few claimed exemption that we can't even release aggregated data regarding the claims because for fear that people might be able to identify who the claimants are and would violate taxpayer confidentiality. So, I mean, they are rarely used. I mean, this is an attempt to, one, make the tax exemption statute more simple by getting rid of the ones that really there is no need for. And then it's a matter of fairness. So, I mean, it's up to you folks. If you guys want to keep this on the books and just have an exemption that benefits one kind of farmer, independent farmers of sugarcane, that's up to you folks. But we're just proposing that.
So without releasing the names, how many entities or individual took the tax exemption?
I mean, for sure, less than 10, possibly less than 5.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Thank you. Moving on, and for the record, we have 7 measures left on the agenda, and we have 30 minutes. And so if you would like to stand on your testimony, that would be appreciated. SB 1260 establishes an agroecological and climate-smart farming practices tax credit. First up is Department of Ag.
Department of Ag stands on its written testimony with public comments and otherwise defers to DOTAX.
Thank you. Gary Suganuma from DOTAX. Thank you. Next, Tom Yamachika from Tax Foundation.
Yes, good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. Jade McMillan on behalf of Tom Yamachika for the Tax Foundation of Hawaii. Again, we've submitted comments on the measure. We believe that the bill contains too many blanks to properly vet, and also we believe a direct appropriation to create the subsidy program may be more appropriate. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to testify on this measure, SB 1260? Any questions? Moving on to SB 245, relating to ownership of ag land, prohibits certain entities from acquiring or holding any interest in ag land within the state and from engaging in farming operations in the state. First up, Department of Ag.
Department of Ag stands on its written testimony with public comments.
Please state your name, please.
Earl Yamamoto.
Thank you, Earl. Hawaii Farm Bureau.
Thank you, Chair. The Hawaii Farm Bureau stand on its written testimony providing comments.
Thank you very much. Lauren Zerbel from Hawaii Food Industry Association. On Zoom.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the committee. I'm Alexis Chapman for HFIA. We stand on our written testimony in opposition.
Opposition, okay, thank you. Gina Salcedo.
Also known as Kalei Salcedo in the west side. I agree, like the bill. I like the bill, and I just want to make sure what we're fighting for, what we want, and what we need to be expedited faster. Because it's been too long that we've been down in this fight for issues on the west side. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
On to the next bill.
Thank you very much. Austin Salcedo?
Hello, Senators. I support SB 245. Apparently, the foreign countries who purchases land here are not collaborating or being transparent to the neighborhood boards as well. So they need more collaboration of what they intend. They had purchased a lot of large lands up in Makaha Valley, 644 acres. It went through about 3 different hands of foreign ownership. One is Chinese, 2 of them is Korean, and have non-collaborated with the neighborhood board as they intend. It's commercial hotel zones, and we have no idea what's coming up on pipelines. I fully support you folks in the entirety. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you. Thank you, Austin. Next is Master Shelby Pikachu, billionaire.
Aloha mai kākou, Shelby Pikachu ko o inoa, no makali mai ao no ho ai vainai, mahalo nuno, thank you for having us here. So I do want to support SB 245. You guys had my written testimony. We don't have time because we're short on time, but I want to reiterate for people watching online that we're importing so much from the outside, even though we're on an island. We have choke deer on Molokai. I can see us selling Bambi on Instagram, doing beef jerky meat. We do a lot of cool stuff, working with inter-islands, doing some inter-trade. I'd rather work with Dubai, skip Joe Biden. We can use Donald Trump's policies to move things forward on an island. We can grow papayas instead of coconuts because CRB. We can do a lot of cool stuff. I like aquaponics. I know we got next bill talking about octopus. I've never seen some aquaponic octopuses before. It's pretty weird, but I do support this. I do want to see some recommendations and amendments into all the bills coming up after this, including this one, meaning I would love you to include the neighborhood boards in each of these bills. I can see the governor's going to appoint somebody in this task force, in this strike force, in this policy, blah, 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 blah. But how are you going to deal with the real criminals when they come with guns ablazing, going to rob you in the middle of the night?
Time's up.
Thank
you very much. Okay, anyone else wishing to testify on this measure? And members, any questions?
Question for DOA.
Senator DeCoit.
DOA.
DOA?
So what happened to foreigners who currently own agricultural land? So what happens to foreign owners who currently own agricultural land?
What happens?
Yeah, like can they own it or they can?
As far as I know, yes, we can. We get the report from, I think it's the USDA. I think we referred to that in another testimony, the annual report of all foreign transactions.
So how many of them get? How many foreign landowners get in Hawaii?
I don't know.
How will the department oversee the orderly divestiture of agricultural land that belongs to a foreigner?
Again, I don't know how we would do that. As expressed in this measure, I believe there's a whole bunch of.
So I think you guys were phasing out all foreign landowners. They could no longer hold any lands under the state ag lands.
We're phasing.
You guys were anybody that was foreign that owned state ag lands, you guys had phased out or transferred out. I don't know, Brian, maybe you can answer that question. No. Oh, I mean, Brian Cowell, sorry.
Yeah.
You cannot. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to SB 1547, relating to a special purpose revenue bond to list Alone Kauai Farming. Authorizes the Department of Budget and Finance to issue a SPURB to assist Alone Kauai Farming in the planning, design, construction, and maintenance. First up is Attorney General's office by Zoom.
They're not, yeah.
Good afternoon, Chair Gabbard, Vice Chair Richards, members of the committee, Deputy Attorney General Alyssa Marie Kao on behalf of the Department of the Attorney General. We offered our written comments and we just want to highlight two for the committee. One is that when an entity is named in a SPURB, it has to be identified by its legal name. Alun Kauai Farming appears to be a corporation, and but in the Department of Commerce and Consumer Affairs, it is Alun Kauai Farming LLC. So we would recommend that the committee clarify the bill with the correct name of the entity. And second is that in 2022, the legislature passed a measure, Act 182, requiring that no SPURBs, I'll call them, require an allocation above this annual state ceiling. So this bond, under the Internal Revenue Code, would necessitate an allocation above the state's annual private bond cap ceiling. And so we have recommended some carve-out language on page 2 of our testimony.
Your time's up. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next up, Hawaii Farm Bureau.
Thank you, Chair. The Hawaii Farm Bureau will stand on its written testimony in support.
Thank you, Brian. Anyone else wishing to testify on 1547? Members, any questions? Moving on to SB 1159 relating to aquaculture, prohibits certain octopus aquaculture. First up is DLNR.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. David Sequoia, we're doing our stand on our written testimony offering comments.
Okay, thank you. Next is Department of Ag.
Good afternoon, Chair. The Department of Ag stands on its written testimony offering comments on this measure. Mahalo.
Thank you. Next is Edward Richards from the Animal Rights Initiative.
Good afternoon, Chair Gabbard, Vice Chair Richards, members of the committee. My name is Edward Richards. I'm speaking on behalf of the Animal Rights Initiative. I am speaking with strong support of the Senate Bill 1159. The foundation of this bill began in 2021 when the London School of Economics released 300 studies finding octopuses to be highly intelligent, sentient creatures with exceptionally capacity to comprehend suffering, including that high welfare farming would not be possible. This prompted the UK to recognize this under the Animal Welfare Act. However, in 2022, plans to the world's first octopus farming facility were announced, aiming to intensively confine and process over 1 million octopuses per year. There was a net pen collapse in 2017 with over 300,000 non-native Atlantic salmon into Pacific waters, and state legislators reacted by only banning salmon farming and prohibited octopus farming in 2024.
Your time's up. Thank you. Next is Lindsay Verhelig on Zoom from the Animal Legal Defense Fund. Aloha.
Good afternoon. Aloha. Good afternoon, Chair Gabbard, Vice Chair Richards, and members of the committee. My name is Lindsay Verheilig, testifying on behalf of the Animal Legal Defense Fund, and I can stand on my written testimony in strong support of this measure to protect Hawaii's local marine populations, fishermen, and octopuses from an unnecessary and cruel practice. Mahalo for your consideration.
Thank you, Lindsay. Anyone else wishing to testify on 1159? Members, any questions?
Oh, I'm wishing to testify today, Amanda Fox. Thank you.
Amanda?
Yeah, good afternoon, Chair Gabbard and Vice Chair, members of the committee. Mahalo for the chance to speak in favor of Senate Bill 1159. My name is Amanda Fox. I live in Waikiki. Octopus farms would pose a compound threat to Kona crabs and other marine populations. Research shows it takes up to 5 pounds of crabs and fish to produce a single pound of octopus, and this would require the diversion of millions of crustaceans and fish to be used as feed. Thousands of tons of waste would be generated from such a resource-intensive diet, intensifying harmful algal blooms and toxic bacteria accumulation. Hawaii's crustacean landings have drastically declined since 1997. Kona crabs dropping from 30,000 pounds to 5,000 last year. Lobsters from 170,000 pounds to 3,000 now. We can't simultaneously intensify crabbing while rapidly accelerating predation, harmful toxin deposits, and warming waters. These exact conditions led to the collapse of a New England shrimp fishery, and we run the risk of creating the same conditions here. Please vote yes. Mahalo.
Thank you very much, Amanda. Anyone else on SB 1159? Any questions?
Just one.
Senator Ducoit?
CJ, how many octopus farms you guys get here in Hawaii?
Aloha, Senator. Good afternoon. Regarding how many octopus, I am unsure. I would have to get back to you and follow up on that. Todd is our subject matter expert on this, but he is unavailable today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair.
Moving on to SB 1248. SB 1248, relating to the Cranston-Duke-Pia Act, establishes that in certain circumstances, an actor rightfully present on ag lands may exercise deadly force with the right to stand the actor's ground and not retreat. First up is Department of Ag.
Chair, the Department of Ag stands on its written testimony in strong support of this measure. We're here for any questions. Mahalo.
Thank you very much. Brian Miyamoto, Hawaii Farm Bureau.
Thank you, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Brian Miyamoto here on behalf of the Hawaii Farm Bureau. We're in strong support. We're in support of these next three bills, which have different mechanisms to address ag crimes. I'll speak specifically to this bill. Unfortunately, ag crimes, as we've been before this committee many, many times, is a problem that our farmers and ranchers face that we need to address, that we have to address. Theft, vandalism, trespass, and violence. The tragic and unnecessary death of Cranston-Pia shows us that we have to have protections. Our farmers and ranchers have the right to protect themselves, their families, their crops, their livestock, their livelihoods. Let's make it clear, Hawaii Farm Bureau does not advocate for violence, but again, in justifiable circumstances, the use of deadly force should be allowed if it is justifiable, and we believe this bill does lay that out and have some protections. It's not, we just want the farmers and ranchers anytime they feel like it to use violence. Absolutely not. We're against violence. But again, we see over and over again these ag crimes that are affecting our farmers and ranchers, and we appreciate Department of Law Enforcement and the legislature's focus and DOA on ag crimes. We want to grow ag. Ag crimes is detrimental to farmers and ranchers, and again, there are no octopus farms.
Thank you.
Currently.
Nicole Galassi from the Hawaii Cattlemen's Council.
Thank you, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Nicole Galassi on behalf of the Hawaii Cattlemen's Council. We stand on our testimony in support because I know too many cases of our ranchers being faced with illegal trespassers who have weapons on them. Imagine being in a remote area and coming across someone who does not have permission to be there. They have a weapon. You have no idea why they're there or if they're in their right mind. But you know one thing, and that's that they have no respect. You know they have no respect because they hopped a fence or broke through a gate to get there without permission. And in all of this, your first thought is, what are the consequences if I try to defend myself? And it's a valid question. Because it seems trespassers have more rights than land or lease owners. Our ranchers who are facing this, their mothers, their fathers, they're just trying to keep their ranch in operation. And we need to protect them in rural areas and deter illegal trespassers on ag lands. Thank you so much for the opportunity to testify on this important matter for our industry.
Thank you, Nicole. Brian Leonida. Brian here in support. Gina Salcedo.
Aloha, Gina Salcedo, aka Kalei Salcedo. I support this SB number 1248 very strongly. Once again, I'm here as a mother, a grandmother, farmer, and I speak for those ranchers that do not have the voice, because some of them is still, this is generation to generation. We have been farming. We need to implement the true laws that's going to protect the farmers and ranchers. We are generation to generation being self-sustainable. And I really want this to be a strong implemented force law, not just a dog and pony show that has been happening for over 10 years. You all know what we was faced against. Let's get it done. Let's get it done for Duke, my nephew Duke boy. It's not a game anymore.
Thank you, Gina. Next is Austin Salcedo.
Aloha, Senators. I'll take my hat to you because this laws has been championed by by you folks, and I appreciate you folks' opportunity to bring it forward. I had raised concerns about this before the DLNR, Don Chang. I had put attachments, I couldn't include my attachments to my testimony. So I brought it to, gave it to the clerk for a presentation to bring it to you folks' attention. This was brought in back in 2023 and brought it to her attention for, because we had lost 4 milking goats. Solutions. She provided an excuse as far as financial and staffing. I provided another attachment of a resignation letter by Due Care Officer Agent Peter Minster, who resigned in January 2024, a month before Cranston Duke Pia got shot and murdered on his agricultural land protecting his cattle. So I commend you folks of bringing this thing forward. Not only our DLNR back in 2023 brought awareness, but also our representative District 45 during that era of time. Nothing had came about. So I commend you in appreciation for coming out with this type of agriculture crime laws under Duke Pia. And I'll take this moment as well to introducing Cranston Duke Pia's father, Mike Pia, who is in attendance in back of me, and the uncle, Bruce Leonida, the mother's side of Duke Pia. If he can present a presentation, because they have no ways of registering. They have no idea. But I present them to you folks as introduction. I thank you. But I stand in support of it, and I thank you for all these 3 measurements that's coming up. That's all I have. Thank you.
Master Pikachu, billionaire.
Chihu, aloha mai kako, hajimashite Pikachu to moshimasu, yoroshiku onegaishimasu. We'll make this quick for the minute to win it. I support this bill, 1248. Obviously, you guys can see your testimony in the front, because we have a lot of issues going on with the farmers' land. And obviously, I want to spend time for the father of Brother Duke to share how he feels. We're talking offline before this with some of the other people, is if the best way we can do when somebody dies is we can't bring them back to life. We're not Jesus. But if that was your kid, that was your daughter, granddaughter, what would you do? So we have to prevent these crimes from happening. I know there's a lot of human trafficking going down now as we speak in Ocean View, Kalapana, at the castle, at the mansion. There's a lot of bad things. I can see Senator Richards nodding his head. Now, I'm going to go there tomorrow. I am going to go verify the intel. I did contact Dole. We are going to need some support because this is an operation with child trafficking and it's in the double digits. I can't rescue X amount of kids alone. But where are we going to send these people? And we got a lot of crimes and stuff going down, but we don't speak up, we don't help prevent this. We're going to have more serious problems in the future. And I want to leave the rest of the time for the father and the uncle.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to testify? Sir, please.
Good afternoon, Chair, Mr. Chair.
First of all, our deep condolences for your loss, sir.
Thank you. I'm Cranston's father. My name is Michael Pia. I don't think, I'd like to see this bill pass. I don't think any of you want to go through what I'm going through. 5 months before the day Cranston got shot, my son, I lost my wife 5 months to that day. I was still grieving my loss. And when I had heard about Cranston was flatline, for 6 weeks, I didn't do a damn thing. Until today, I still ask the question, why? Why a young kid took my son away, my youngest son of my 4 children? I'll tell you, I want to see this thing pass. I support this, and I thank the Saucedos and all the testimony from everyone, and I'm still grieving today. It's very painful.
Thank you, Mr. Pia, for your testimony. Anyone else on SB 1248?
Senators, scheme to witness, but I think say something good. It's my brother-in-law, Michael Pia, combat Marine, you know.
To state your name, sir.
Bruce Leonida. He's a combat Marine. this kind of stuff happening. It's gotta stop. But boy, we armed ourselves already. Guns are registered at HPD to protect. And I got farming right where my nephew was killed. A farm out by Dole, little scrubs over there, driving their bikes, getting on the property, carrying guns, man. So I'm gonna protect myself. That's like within the law, you know.
Of course.
I got to say.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Members, any questions? Moving on to SB 1249, relating to ag, establishes an ag crime prevention program within the Department of Ag to provide grants, education, admin enforcement, and other services. First up is Department of Ag.
Chair, the Department of Ag stands on its written testimony and strong support of the Mahalo.
Thank you. Next is Kelsey Nagata or Christopher, Attorney General's Office. Anyone? Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair, members of the committee, Kelsey Nagata, Deputy Attorney General, providing comments in support of HB 859. The Department of the Attorney General strongly supports laws that provide much needed protection to farmers and ranchers and that treat agricultural crimes with the seriousness that they deserve. We understand that certain provisions within the bill are intended to address hunting on agricultural lands. We have provided some comments in our written testimony to address this. I'm available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Hawaii Farm Bureau.
Thank you, Chair. The Hawaii Farm Bureau stand on its written testimony and support.
Thank you, Brian. Nicole Galassi, Hawaii Cattlemen's Council.
Thank you, Chair. Nicole Galassi on behalf of the Hawaii Cattlemen's Council. We stand on our written testimony offering comments about our concerns about this bill and commitment to look further into the implications. Mahalo.
Thank you, Nicole. Gina Salcedo.
Aloha, Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the board. I stand with this. I agree with the SB 1249, but on page 10, line 13 to 17, I should say to 20, I do not agree with the fines. It's so little, the fines. Just losing what you raise, whether it's a goat from baby to the time, that doesn't even cover the time you took. I want to see the increase in the fines. We want to detour bad behavior, violators. We don't want to give them a slap on the hand. We want them to remember the crime that they did. So I need to see this increased. If they still want tractor, do you think $2,000 is going to replace that tractor? Let's be realistic here. $20,000 do not replace the tractor. So that needs to be mandated.
Thank you, Gina.
Yes.
Time's up. Mahalo. Austin Salcedo.
Hello, Senators. Yes, I support the Senate Bill 1249 as well, too, in its entirety. And we do, I'm going to echo what my wife had just said, we need to include and increase the 3 Ps on this agricultural crime. Pursuit, increase our lawfulness on this. Punishment, increase the punishment. Or prosecution, prosecution, increasing it. Punishment, we need to increase the numbers on the fines, because what has been said, the numbers is very low. We lose equipment, we lose livestock, and it's very low from what the penalties are. What we're losing is much higher in value. So I support it in its entirety, and I thank you for championing this Senate bills. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Master Shelby Pikachu, billionaire.
안녕하세요. 만나서 반갑습니다. 피카츄 to 모시마스. 요러시고 오네가이시마스. So I do support SB 1249, the agri crimes prevention, but it's a 70-page bill. I don't know who has the time to read through it all and string through the lines. It puts me to sleep with that boring Roman italicism. So I ran it through AI. You guys can see my testimony is literally on there. There is missing a few points like the food security resilience, because we do live on the islands. I would like to see the utilization of the neighborhoods board, because there's 51 districts, 51 reps. So if there's a complaint complaint, doesn't matter Hilo, Mililani, Kahuku, Kauai, Maui, Lahaina, they should go to the board will send it up the chain to their rep and center, and you guys should know what to do, because I don't know how you can prevent the Sinaloa cartel, Jalisco cartel, Tren de Agua cartel, KGB, and stuff from infiltrating your space when you're just gonna put a policy and they no hablo inglés, they hablo español. So I'd like to see how you can implement this to reality. I did talk to Cedric Gates before. He was in agriculture before. So I want to see how we're going to put this into reality and not just make a policy. Thank you very much. Adios gozaimasu.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to testify on SB 1249? Members, any questions?
Kara, this is Janet Ashman. Could I just give testimony as an individual,
Yes.
please? Thank you.
Proceed.
Janet Ashman on my own behalf. I've worked with farmers and ranchers for over 20 years on ag crime, and it's just gotten so bad and terrible, and you all know about it. But it is a huge bill, and I'm only going to talk about two things. One is that we definitely need something about hunting on private lands or leases without written permission. That has just got to be fixed, and everybody's known about it for a long time, but the hunters complain that, well, they're not on the right, they didn't know they were on private property, etc. You got to have written permission or some other method of controlling that. And then stiffer penalties for all of these violations. They're just not taken seriously. Even when criminals are caught, they are not being held accountable. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Members, any questions? Seeing none, going on to the last measure of the agenda, SB 1257 establishes an agricultural crimes task force to address the issue of ag crime in the state. Establishes the offense of ag crimes to increase penalties for property crimes committed on ag property. First up, Department of Ag.
Chair, the Department of Agriculture stands on its written testimony in strong support of this.
Thank you, Cedric. Hawaii Farm Bureau.
Thank you, Chair. The Hawaii Farm Bureau will stand on its written testimony in support.
Thank you. Nicole Galassi, Hawaii Cattlemen's Council.
Thank you. The Hawaii Cattlemen's Council stands on its written testimony in support.
Thanks, Nicole. Brian Leonida. Brian here? Not here. Gina Salcedo.
Aloha, aka, first of all, I'd like to thank you folks. You folks been putting up with me, throughout the years trying to fight. But you know what? I have faith within this committee. I have more faith in you folks than I ever did have in my own rep and legislatures in the past 10 years. And that's the God's truth. And I have my nephew looking down on me because I'm not giving up like others did. I want this to be Duke's Law. I want it passed. I want the special law enforcement that we try to work for. I want it expedited, ASP, because to this day, we still got unethical hunters and firing arms in the back of my yard. So I'd rather have the law enforcement handle it before I do a Yellowstone. Mahalo.
Thank you. Next is Austin Salcedo.
Aloha, Senators. I want to echo what my wife has said. We had gone through this with many years in our own district representative, Senate District 22's House Representative 45. It had gone before, blind eyes and deaf ears. What does it take to have this bill not only pass through your folks' committee, but bring it up to the governors for the emergency proclamation? Because this is safety. Safety for the public, safety for my ohana. What does it take to have it a governor's emergency proclamation on this? Because it is way overdue. But I thank you folks for bringing this forward, for championing this again, and increase the fines on these measures. But the task force that's going to be appointed by the governor, I question of who is going to appoint that. I want to make sure there's our elected officials be appointed in these committees over this task force, not the previous. As I see right now, they work for agriculture. They have done nothing. We have not been an asset to the involvement of
Time's up,
agriculture.
Austin. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And then finally is Master Pikachu Billionaire.
Chee-hoo. All right, last bill, we're making it through. Master Shelby Pikachu, billionaire here, representing the kingdom of the Hawaiian Islands. Kea Puni Ko'owai Pa'aina. Yeah, you. Chee-hoo. Says I got 53 seconds to win your hearts. We're already in strong support. You can read the paper I put, but I got to remind you guys what the AI told me. It quoted splintered paddle law. So that goes back to HRS 1-1. So when they mess up, you spank them. You beat the, Okole out of them to teach them a lesson, and they're going to steal your horse, steal your crop, steal your marijuana, or whatever. But I agree with some of this fine. If the first offense is only $2,000 and 1 year back, I'm going to take 10 of your crops and plus more to make sure it's worth the crime. Now, you have to think like criminals think, especially they don't speak English, they live in Puna, they're in Ocean View, they're Tongan, or they're in Kalihi, you're in some backwater place. You got to know where you're at, where you're going, and how we can enforce this stuff. I like Mike Lambert. He's a nice, cool guy, but he's going to need backup and support. Because these guys as gangsters is pretty nuts and crazy, and a lot of people are afraid to call the cops because a lot of them are dirty and in cahoots with the dirty judges. You want to talk to anyone in the streets, in the hobo tents to let you know the truth. So help you God. Peace.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to testify? Members, any questions? Okay. We should go right into decision-making. Start off with SB 683 on the PFAS and environmental protection. So the chair's recommendation will be to pass with the amendment from the Hawaii Reef and Ocean Coalition to clarify the definition of PFAS, and would also like to note that the Department of Health's request for funding and positions in the committee report. Any discussion? Chair votes aye.
On the matter of Senate Bill 683 passing with amendments, Chair votes aye, Vice Chair votes aye, Senator DeCoit.
Aye.
Senator Rhodes.
Aye.
Senator Awa.
Aye.
Chair, you have 5 in favor. Motion is adopted.
Thank you very much. On SB 1109, relating to the environmental review process. Okay, the chair's recommendation will be to pass as is. Any discussion? Chair votes aye.
On Senate Bill 1109 passing as is, you said, Chair?
Yes.
Passing as is. Chair votes aye. Vice Chair. It's right here. I'm going to vote with reservations on this one. Chair voting with reservations. Senator DeCoit.
Aye.
Senator Rhodes.
Aye.
Senator Awa.
No.
Chair, you have 4 in favor. Motion is adopted.
Thank you very much. On SB 391, relating to recycling, having to do with lithium-ion batteries, we're going to we need some more time on this one, so we'll defer decision-making till Wednesday, February 12th at 1 p.m. here in room 224. Moving on to SB 12, neonics restrictions. The chair's recommendation on this measure will be to pass with an amendment to exempt the treatment of invasive species. And also we will add the amendment from the Hawaii Pest Control Association. Any discussion?
Chair.
Yes.
Yeah. I appreciate the intent of this bill, but I always get concerned when we categorically eliminate things. And one of the things I am concerned about is the animal use, as well as I think if we had targeted restricted use would be better for the bill. For that reason, though I appreciate the intent, it doesn't address the animal side, so I'm going to be voting no on this one.
Chair.
Yes.
Chair, we've heard testimony from all sides. I got a big problem with this bill because it doesn't target the bad apples. We're targeting the people that are using tools correctly. Again, now we make an exception for treatment of invasive species. If we want to knock it out, we knock it all out. Pesticides in general kills. Neonics kills. So with that, I got to vote no on this bill, Chair.
Thank you. Okay, take the vote. Chair votes aye.
On Senate Bill 12 passing with amendments, Chair votes aye, Vice Chair votes no. Senator DeCoit?
No.
Senator Rhodes?
Aye.
Senator Alwal?
No.
Chair, you have 2 in favor. Motion is not adopted. It fails.
Thank you. Next is SB 216 relating to farm dwellings. Chair's recommendation will be to pass with an amendment to remove Section 2, subsection B, that was suggested by Department of Ag and Hawaii Farm Bureau. And also noting Department of Ag's request for funding in the committee report. Any discussion? Chair votes aye.
On Senate Bill 216, passing with amendments, Chair votes aye. I appreciate the amendments being made, and because of that, I'm going to vote aye on this one. Senator DeCoit?
Aye.
Senator Rhodes?
Aye.
Senator Alwal?
Aye.
Chair, you have 5 in favor. Motion is adopted.
Thank you, members. Moving on to SB 658 relating to the Hawaii Ant Lab. Chair's recommendation will be to pass with amendments to blank the appropriation amount and to defect the date until July 1st, 2050. Any discussion? Chair votes aye.
Passing with amendments, Senate Bill 658. Chair votes aye. Vice Chair votes aye. Senator DeCoit?
Aye.
Senator Rhodes?
Aye.
Senator Alwal?
Aye.
Chair, you have 5 in favor. Motion is adopted.
Thank you, members. Moving on to SB 1468. On the general excise tax exemptions, the chair's recommendation will be to pass with tech amendments. Any discussion? Chair votes aye.
On Senate Bill 1468, passing with amendment, Chair votes aye. Vice Chair votes aye. Senator DeCoit?
Aye.
Senator Rhodes?
Aye.
Senator Alwal?
Aye.
Chair, you have 5 in favor. Motion is adopted.
Thank you, members. And then moving on to SB 1260 relating to agroecological and climate-smart farming tax credit. The chair's recommendation will be to pass with the Hawaii Farmers Union's amendments and also DOE tax amendments, and we'll make note in the committee report that the need for a clearer definition for qualified investments and request that the Department of Ag submit suggestions for consideration in the committee report as this measure moves forward. And also there are tech amendments. Any discussion?
Chair, real quick.
Yes.
On Senate Bill 1260, I appreciate the amendments because that addresses some of my concerns. I'll be supporting it.
Thank you. Chair votes aye.
Chair votes aye. Vice Chair votes aye. Senator DeCoit?
Aye.
Senator Rhodes?
Aye.
Senator Alwal?
Aye.
Chair, you have 5 in favor. Motion is adopted.
Thank you. On SB 245 relating to ownership of ag lands. Let's see. The chair's recommendation will be to defer indefinitely. There's a lot of things that need to be worked out on this bill, so it needs some more discussion, and we'll take it up at a future time. Maybe moving on to SB 1547. This is a special purpose SPURB, special purpose revenue bond to assist Alaun Kauai farming. 1547. Chair's recommendation will be to pass with amendments from the AG's office, blanking the appropriation and defecting the date until July 1st, 2050. And also there are some tech amendments. Any discussion? Chair votes aye.
On Senate Bill 1547, passing with amendments, Chair votes aye. Vice Chair votes aye. Senator DeCoit?
Aye.
Senator Rhodes?
Aye.
Senator Alwal?
Aye.
Chair, you have 5 in favor. Motion adopted.
Moving on to SB 1159, dealing with octopus aquaculture. The recommendation of the chair will be to pass as is. Any discussion?
Real quick, Chair.
Yes.
I appreciate the fact that there is an exemption or a accommodation made for research, because what was brought up, it is a very interesting creature, but we have to learn more about it. So I appreciate that.
Okay.
I'll come in
Chair.
quick, please.
Senator DeCoit?
Oh, so, you know, after asking the question, I'm aware that there's no octopus farms here in Hawaii. You know, if you take a look at the amount of fish and whether it be lobsters and whatever being eaten, the seals does just as much damage, and there's no farm on them as well. I mean, just the idea that we have no octopus farms, I'm gonna vote no on this bill, Chair. Thank you.
Chair, I'll be voting no as well. I know there's a lot coming out, how smart they are, but our culture used to be eating these things since, you know, we've been here. And it's some of the best protein you can get, some of the best nutrients you can get. I know it doesn't ban, you know, wild caught, but what's the next step? If we find a way to raise taco and not damage the environment, we shouldn't eliminate that from the possibilities. So I'll be voting no. Thanks.
Thank you very much. So for the vote, chair votes aye.
On Senate Bill 1159, passing with amendments, Chair, did you say? Or as is? As is.
Yeah.
Yeah, passing as is. Chair votes aye. Vice Chair votes aye. Senator DeCoit?
No.
Senator Rhodes? Aye. Senator Awa?
No.
Chair, you have 3 in favor. Motion is adopted.
Thank you, members. Moving on to SB 1248, relating to the Cranston-Duke-Pia Act. Chair's recommendation will be to pass this measure as is. Any discussion? Chair votes aye.
Sure. I do have a, first of all, my most heartfelt condolences. I lost my father fairly recently, and you're supposed to lose your father, you're not supposed to lose your kids. So I'm very sympathetic. Unfortunately, this bill just doesn't really do anything. You're under current law, the use of deadly force, I'm quoting from it, the use of deadly force is justifiable under this section if the actor believes that deadly force is necessary to protect himself against death, serious bodily injury, kidnapping, rape, or forcible sodomy. You do not have a duty to retreat in your own home or in your place of business. So if you're a farmer and you're on your farm, you're in your place of business. So it just doesn't do anything, so I'm going to vote with reservations.
Thank you, Senator Rhodes. Chair votes aye. Vice Chair.
On Senate Bill 1248, passing unamended, Chair votes aye. Vice Chair votes aye. Senator DeCoit?
Aye.
Senator Rhodes?
Reservations.
Senator Awa?
Aye.
Chair, you have 5 in favor. Motion is adopted.
Thank you. On SB 1249, relating to Ag Crime Prevention Program, Department of Ag, the chair's recommendation will be to pass with tech amendments and an effective date of July 1st, 2050. Any discussion? Chair votes
Discussion,
aye.
Chair. Discussion.
Discussion?
Chair, I'd like to address section 142-A administrative penalties, line 13. I would ask that the committee report reflect the increase in violation on your first offense. I think this has been going on way too long. I agree with the testifier, Mrs. Salido. You cannot replace on tractor. Hell, you cannot replace on life. You'll continue to get the bad actors until we slap them in with the financial pain. I think the first violation should go 10,000. The second, if you're willing to do it again, should go up to 25,000, and the third up to 100,000. They do the same thing in Tacoma, in Seattle. So we need to get better and stricter on these laws, because it'll continue to happen, which is why we're dealing with what we're dealing with on our farms and our ranches. So if I could have that reflect the committee
Absolutely. That will
report.
be included in the committee report.
Thank you.
Okay. Chair votes aye. Vice Chair.
Senate Bill 1249, passing with amendments. Chair votes aye. Vice Chair votes aye. Senator DeCoit?
Aye.
Senator Rhodes? Aye. Senator Awa?
Aye.
You have 5 in favor. Motion is adopted.
Thank you. And the final measure on the agenda is SB 1257, related to the Ag Crimes Task Force. And Chair's recommendation would be to pass with amendments, blanking the appropriation and defecting the date to July 1st, 2050. Any discussion? Chair votes aye.
On Senate Bill 1257, passing with amendment, Chair votes aye. Vice Chair votes aye. Senator DeCoit?
Aye.
Senator Rhodes?
Aye.
Senator Awa?
Aye.
Chair, you have 5 in favor. Motion adopted.
Thank you, members. And that concludes the agenda.